I got the same spiel every time I start. Is like I got to make a clip show kind of thing, just like a minute or whatever for the intro, and then I'm like, oh, what clip should I get? I don't know, but I haven't got around to it yet. But it will. But I'm here with Edwin Acevedo. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Good to see you. It's been a while since we've chatted, and I was gonna say we kind of go way back. You've been around pretty much since the beginning. I don't know, like it was like want to just introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your history here too.
Yeah, sure. My name's Edwin Acevedo. I am an independent comic book writer. I've put out several projects over the last couple of years via crowdfunding. And yeah, I'm a lifelong comic book fan. I always dreamed of being a comic book artist when I was young, wanted to work for Marvel, all that fun stuff. But eventually, wasn't really my lane. Never really had the gift of art. And next thing you know, this new indie movement pops up. And I end up finding my way as a writer. So it's been pretty crazy ride. I've been here for a minute. Me and you go way back. You've done some Ace art, which was absolutely killer. Made it into a shirt. So yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say because that was I don't know if that was like 3-4 years ago.
yeah,
Totally, like
yeah, at least 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, commissioned me for some of your character, the Ace, and yeah, so because I knew you were around and it was nice to hear from you, but because I didn't know when I look at Bloodbone, it's like second chance. I'm like, I don't even remember the first chance. It's kind of a thing about Comic Gate too. It gets so big
Yeah.
that things can fly under the radar for depending on who's in your clique at any given time. Crystal McGee, how's it going? Crystal here.
Oh, what up,
Thanks,
Crystal?
thanks for being here. Dale A, how's it going?
Damn.
5 people watching, everyone. So yeah, we're going to be promoting Bloodbone, Edwin's new book, and it does look awesome. We'll talk about it. We're going to watch the trailer here in a second.
Nice.
If it goes up a little bit, it always helps just get more eyes on it, and it's kind of like there's like Venn diagrams too. So coming on, I'm hoping a lot of my standard readers might not be familiar with it. So that'd be great if they get their eyes on it. If it strikes their fancy, everyone please do back it. I mean, it does look really great. It has great art and great writing and everything. And yeah, if it goes up at all, we call that it was called the Narwhal Nudge, but then I shortened it to just the Nudge, and then I shortened that to the Nuge. So we call it the Nuge if you come on my show.
There you go.
So
There you
let's give it the Nuge. And then I was like, I just did a stream earlier today, and I was like, we should call like the people who watch my streams like what like a word for them, like how Taylor Swift has the Swifties or whatever, and everyone's like, call them the Nards. So the Narwhal Nards give the Nuge. So if the Narwhal Nards give the Nuge, seek the pad. Let's do it. That's what I say.
Let's go.
For real. Watch it. So, yeah, I was gonna say, we'll give it a second to. I'm gonna But so we'll try that in a second. But everyone on your end, watch the trailer too, because it looks cool. It's just a minute long too. Sometimes trailers go too long.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about Bloodbone?
Sure. Yeah. So Bloodbone's the story of a man who returns to his hometown after being gone for several years away, and he's discovered that it's been overtaken by a criminal organization. So he decides to use the skills that he gets from away to become a mass vigilante and clean up his city. So yeah, it's very much kind of inspired by the closest thing I can compare it to anybody who's seen the first 2 seasons of Arrow. It's I think they had a great concept with Oliver comes back from the island and he's completely changed. And he sees that his city's basically been corrupted, and he's got this list of people he needs to take out. It's also a really cool concept. So Bloodbone, he wasn't on an island or anything crazy like that. But he's been through some stuff the last couple of years, and when he finally returns home, he realizes that what was once a beautiful city, was a beautiful metropolis, has basically been turned into Gotham by the criminal organization. They're basically bought off the politicians, they bought off the cops, and they're hurting like the average people. And Bloodbone ain't having it, so he's gonna be using the skills he gained to tear shit up and take his city back.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's a cool trope that I write down myself because I want to use it sometime. But you see, there's some classics that do this, but it's like they call it the prodigal son returns, and then the other part is like the prodigal son returns to find like shit's effed up. They do that in the Odyssey, Homer when he finally comes back. Yeah, so like that's cool. Like it's like cool classic storytelling. And even the revenge checklist, like Arrow kind of does, that's like a fun trope to play with. So a lot of good solid stuff in there. It sounds really cool. How many pages is it?
It's Ashcan, so it's 16 pages.
Okay. And is it going to be like this is the first issue, or is it a short story?
Yeah, it's basically an issue zero.
Okay.
Basically, get introduced to Bloodbone and kind of what he's about, and then basically kind of primes you for like the full Bloodbone #1, which is coming next year with me and Joe Ball. We're teaming out to do like the big Bloodbone #1. But this is a good like introduction. It's kind of based off the old like Wizard magazine would have like the zero issues or the .5 issues where they were like exclusive stories that would only appear in those, and people would track them down, and they got pretty expensive for after a while because they were so like collectible. So I wanted to do something that introduced Bloodbone to everybody in a cool way, and it's super exclusive. So you won't be seeing this won't be showing up on the Bloodbone #1 campaign. This is basically your chance to get in on the ground floor with this Ashcan.
Cool. Yeah, that does sound awesome. That's a good idea. And I'm noticing, so it's for the black and white art looks amazing, and it is black and white, I guess, right?
Yep.
Probably, or
Yeah, we
okay.
wanted like a gritty feel, big, very much inspired by the old school Ninja Turtles. I wanted to just be able to have like a gritty kind of street level look to it. And like I said, Joe Ball, anybody who's seen Joe Ball's line art knows he's fantastic in the black and white. It doesn't need anything. Like he gives so many lines and so many cool things to do. So it just fit the moment to like this needs to be kind of gritty, kind of black and white like this.
Cool. Yeah, and then so this for the Ashcan, it's Donald DeLay and Max Diallo.
Yep.
Uh, is that like 8 and 8? Like, do they split or how does the page split work
I
with the
know.
artist?
So Donald did the original Ashcan, which was 12 pages. And then the Maxi Dial is kind of like bonus material. It's actually meant for another project. But once the opportunity came to do a second chance, I figured, oh, this Maxi style fits with Donald's. Like what he did doesn't stray too far from him. So I
I
figured,
was going to say
you
that
should help
they
him.
fit together
Yeah,
perfectly. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So it made sense to put them together.
So the bonus stuff is like 4 extra pages, like a little that's like a
Yeah,
bonus kind
little
of thing.
short story to kind of give you some more insight on Bloodbone. It's actually has him chasing down a serial killer who's hurting the young women of the town. And it's fun to like have Bloodbone do all these kind of different things through his city and kind of face different foes and ally and enemies and stuff like that. So it gives you like a little bit of a different kind of feel than like the main story Donald does.
Cool. So is he kind of the only hero, and there's lots of villains, or is there other heroes in the world too?
I know
Slash team?
Bloodbone is his own thing. There's this is very much based on like early Marvel, kind of like there's no like real superheroes or anything like that, no superpowers. Everybody who you see is basically like an enhanced human. Like they basically you think of like Spider-Man's rogues like Vulture, Rhino, a Doc Ock, they all have like enhancements that they used to fight Spider-Man. So you'll see a lot of the same kind of stuff. You'll see Bloodbone facing off against different people, but they don't have
Cool.
like traditional superpowers or anything like that. They're just kind of like enhanced humans.
They call that street level, right? I've heard
Yeah,
that term thrown.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's a cool aspect of it too. And that goes well with the black and white also, actually. Um, yeah. What about the origin of Bloodbone, like the origin of the idea and even the character design itself? How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so Bloodborne actually started as a bit of a joke. Actually, me and the guys from the Hardline, we do a lot of kind of late night hangouts where we'll just talk about comics and we'll just joke around. And I've been looking for something else to do aside from Ace. Like I've had so much fun on Ace, but kind of wanted to flex a different writing muscle. So that's when like the idea of like more of a street level hero, because Ace has like spaceships, it's aliens, it's outer space, different planets, all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to do something more grounded. And Phil came up with this name Bloodbone. And it just kind of got my brain going, like I just kind of came up, who is Bloodbone? And that's when the idea of kind of like based them off a bit of Bane, basically the idea of having Bane be a vigilante instead of being like a criminal. Like how would that work? And we
Hmm.
kind of hit up Joe Ball for some early designs, and he came up with like the base of Bloodbone. And then once he did that, I reached out to Donald because I thought Donald was the perfect guy to like do this. Me and Donald have worked together before, and I know like he's in the same wavelength that I am when it comes to this stuff. So like once I hit him up, he gave Bloodbone a quick like redesign. He switched up the mask a little bit, more like the grifter kind of style, and then he just kind of put it together. And then once he sent me like the character designs, and he was excited to do it. He read the script. He was like, "Yeah, I like this." I'm like, "Hey, let's go. Let's get to work." Initially, it was only going to be like 4 pages, but ended up being like 12 pages. So like we just kind of got rolling with it, and it just kind of clicked.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, it is perfect Donald stuff. His art style goes great with it. And yeah, it looks cool. It looks kind of like it fits in with some of Donald's characters. They could do like a crossover even
Yeah,
or
if you've
something.
seen Brutus, like like this fits right in his lane. So
Yeah, nice. I'm gonna try one more time real quick with this, just see if it still thinking. Um, we'll wait a second and try some more. What about the bigger book that's coming up? That sounds kind of awesome too. Do you perchance on your computer? Do you have any want to share any top secret Joe Ball art or anything? Or
I would love to, but you got to keep that tight. Yeah,
yeah,
don't want to
cool.
leak stuff
Yes,
too early. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. When is that campaign going to launch? Do you think?
It's later for the fall of next year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it'll be around the
Um,
same time this one launched. So you'll get it. Make sure it gets fulfilled to everybody. I'm big on fulfillment. Fulfilled 3 campaigns so far. I'm halfway through my fourth one. My last book, Raid of the White Leopard, is being fulfilled right now. So I just sent out some packages today. So I'm big on getting these books out, in a reasonable time so where I can put them out. But yeah, by the fall, everything should be good to go, and go big on Bloodborne #1. It's gonna be sick.
nice. How many pages is that one going to be?
That's gonna be 32 pages.
Okay, perfect. What about catch me up a little bit on like Raid of the White Leopard and Ace. Are those your two others? Like, and is there any
Yeah,
others that because yeah, you should get back on. I'll make sure and have you on again whenever the next one launches because I missed a few of your launches. However that happens, because I hadn't even heard of Raid of the White Leopard. Yeah, but that sounds awesome too.
yeah.
So what's that one about?
Yeah, so Raid of the White Leopard is the story about a band of Viking raiders who get caught up in a storm and then they wash up on a mysterious island, which is protected by this character called the White Leopard. And they basically, have it out for like, control of the island. That's basic premise. Crowdfunded it earlier in the year. Like I said, it's about halfway fulfilled right now. So it should be fully fulfilled by the end of the year. So it's a fun story. I'll be offering extra copies probably on my Etsy store. I've been using that. Kind of was done pretty well. So I'll probably have extra copies for anybody who missed out of any like overprints and stuff. So people get a
Cool.
chance to get caught up with it. And then Ace Volume 3 is coming next year. Right now it's halfway colored, waiting for it to get fully colored before launching it. I always make sure Ace is fully done before I launch it. So again, by the end of the year, that should be done, and the campaign should be like early next year, maybe February, March. It'll be Volume 3, man. I can't wait to share that with people either, man. I got so much cool stuff, an amazing cover, just a lot of surprises, man. It's hard to keep it all tight. Like I don't like
Yeah.
to get ahead, I want to make sure like all my focus is on Bloodbone. We're like 60% funded. I want to make sure it gets 100% funded, and then I can kind of breathe a little easier. Make
Yeah.
sure everything is
64.
funded.
A
Yeah.
bit to go, yeah, just a few more backers. And yeah, this is like the exclusive issue 0
Mhm.
Ashcan 16-page comic, black and white. Definitely like cool, collectible, good deal. Like $15 is like a good lower end for these like for a premium crowdfunded type thing. And then your tried and true fulfilled fulfilled multiple campaigns, been around since literally the beginning of
Yeah.
Comicsgate, which is cool. So that's all good stuff. What about it's interesting hearing you pitch Bloodbone. It honestly sounds great. And then the Raid of the White Leopard sounded great too. Both of them kind of have like simple, focused premises. Is that like something you look for as a writer, or like what? Tell me a little bit how you like got into writing. Like, did you read any books or go to school or write as a kid, or how about that history kind of there?
Yeah. I mean, I've always had ideas. Like I'm more of like a note taker. Like anytime I have an idea, like I'll sketch out like an outline. Never was one to like write full, complete like couple thousand word essays or anything like that. I was more kind of like an idea person. And one of the things that really helped me kind of get into the zone to write for my first book with the Ace was Jeff Johns put out a Blackest Night #0 director's cut issue, where it has his entire script of the issue. It has all his notes to artists and everything. And that was my Bible for months. Like I would read that thing over and over again. And because I'm a big Jeff Johns fan, I love the way he writes for comics. I think he's absolutely brilliant in as far as like this medium goes. So like I remember just studying that and kind of like taking bits and pieces of like, all right, this is how you write a script for an artist. And like I said, once I kind of was able to get the formula down and working with Canales, I just got more comfortable with it. It's one of those things, the more you write and the more you kind of like put into it, the more you get out. So it's become like a great process. And now all these books later, I just feel a lot more confident, a lot more kind of prepared, a lot more ready. And just like, I feel like I can just, I even did like an actual like 1,000-word story for Passion for Drawing Tales of Novatera. That was just like text only. So, like I'm
Oh,
just
cool.
flexing all these different muscles and stuff. And I just feel like super comfortable now after all these years. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that too. When I first get started, you're like, how do you do it? How are you supposed to do it? And you're kind of like, I don't even know. But and then if you go just flash forward like 3 years, if you could only know like whatever you do, you're gonna just get more comfortable doing
Yeah.
it. So you can kind of do it any way you want. Everyone
Hmm.
does their own thing a little bit too. But that's
Yeah.
great inspiration to see Jeff Johns and see what he does and kind of take that as like, oh, like this is kind of that's where a lot of inspiration can come is like the second you have a vision of like it's almost like fate where like you can picture the future like, oh, I could do this too. I can see like a finished script in my head. All I got to do is kind of emulate some of what Jeff Johns is doing. That's awesome. Um yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you. Oh, so with the Jeff John stuff, what is the format that you write? Like, do you write like page, then panel, and a little description per panel, and then dialogue if it fishes dialogue, or what's your script?
Usually it's just the first thing is usually an outline. Basically, like when I wrote Bloodbone, the idea is like, all right, where do I want the story to start and where do I want it to end? So I write an outline of that, and then I start breaking it down page by page, and then I start breaking it down panel by panel, and then the last thing is the dialogue because I like to have my artists start working on it because they'll always surprise me with something.
Mm,
The way that they change a panel here, something here, and I'm able to kind of fix the dialogue around any changes that they do. So the dialogue's always the last thing I go over, but yeah, I like to kind of break it down page by page, then panel by panel until we get the whole thing done.
cool. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. It's cool hearing different people's like process with writing. Everyone does it slightly different, but and then there's a lot of similarities to how everyone kind of does it. But yeah, it's cool and it looks great. I'm reading we're reading some of the writing and the dialogue is awesome. Um, yeah, this is cool. 8 people watching. Thanks everyone for being here. We're promoting Edwin Ace with Bloodbone for Fund My Comic. 16 backers so far. Trying to get to that 1,000 mark. Got a month or two left, but yeah, let's help us hit it. If we get a backer or two, it's called the Narwhal Nuge. So
Here we go.
let's get the Narwhal Nuge going. Nice. What was I gonna ask you? Anything else? What about this? Is a random kind of discussion pivot one, so we'll just kind of hang and chill a bit.
Yeah.
But do you ever think about like how we get more and more like a bigger audience, I guess, with comics, with like Comicsgate, if Comicsgate can like destroy and usurp the mainstream, and then, but even like the numbers of like, hypothetically, how would you ever get 100,000 readers rather than, right as it is now, like 1,000 is like amazing, and it is great and like and everything. But what
Yeah.
about 100,000? How do we even do that? Have you thought of anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, for anything like that, we would need to have like a full distribution company. I mean, there's no
Mhm.
way you're gonna get unless you're getting in multiple shops that you can get that many orders for anything. So like
Yeah,
that kind of like that, there's the reason Diamond has a monopoly on stuff, because they know that the only way to get those sales that the big two need is through them getting it in shops and stores. You can't
yeah,
just do that on your own. That's a whole different level. But I
yeah,
think that there's ways for us to grow. I mean, I think people like Brian Polito have shown that you can have consistency. You can create an audience that you can get big numbers, campaign after campaign after campaign, as long as people know they're getting a product, as long as they know that there's quality, that they can depend on you, that you can give them what they want. I believe that's doable. And also, I think like with the big two dying out, there's going to be a need for other companies and other things to like replace them.
hmm,
Like, if they see something hot, like Ninja Turtles took off, like all these,
yeah,
eventually you'll get somebody who's going to be looking in the indie sphere. You just need to make enough noise and have a good enough product, and you got to be on your business to when that opportunity knocks, for you to answer it. But I think it's definitely coming. Like I think, we're kind of on this downward spiral right now with the economy, and like we're still in the dying kind of days of like the big two. But I think once
yeah,
that comes out, if people continue to put out quality, like there'll be a chance for them to expand.
yeah. I agree with that too. I heard a good kind of interesting take from your boy Zach, and he was kind of pointing out a statistic, and it's like what percentage of crowd funds are people's first book. And he's like, the first books aren't gonna like replace the mainstream. They aren't gonna even like necessarily compete directly as like this is better. But cut to 10 years down the line, people on their fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th book, then they are, then like you get better and better, and then we will be competing. And that's kind of been happening as we go. And I was just thinking, like, for example, you and me, same thing. Like our first book was like 5 years ago. Cut to 5 years, we've each put out a handful of books now. And so that alone is going to kind of keep growing and the ability to compete and put out this kind of quality stuff. It will just keep happening until there's kind of like a breaking point or a tipping point kind of thing. Um, yeah, and I was gonna say something of what you were saying, but I kind of forget. But I don't know. Just the idea of the future. It is kind of fascinating. But what you're saying too is like we just got to be ready. So in the meantime, we're just making good books.
Yeah, I mean, if imagine you have like this back catalog, right? You put out 10 books, let's say, right? And you're consistent, and you're getting good reviews, and you're getting good sales. Like that, to me, that's an opening. Like, there's a new streaming service popping up every couple of years. There's TV content that there's going to be like different avenues. Daily Wire is putting out like a kids channel. There's new media popping up all the time. People need IPs, you know
Yeah.
and if you have like a nice track record, like Brian Polito established a great track record, somebody could snatch up Lady Death.
Yeah.
Like if Netflix needs something, they get, hey, Brian's killing it. He's on his P's and Q's. He's not on some BS. He's putting out books all the time. There's tons of back catalog that we can use. Let's give him like an animated series. Let's give him like 6 episodes to buy his IP, see if it hits.
Yeah.
Like that's all it takes, is somebody to take a look, and they're not, because any opportunity like that isn't going to go to some rando who's put out one book.
Hmm.
You're going to have to build up yourself to a certain level, and so I can see guys like Polito having opportunities to break out and go to the next level, and some of these other guys that have a good track record. It's all about kind of establishing yourself and having that commitment to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what that reminds me of too? What we're talking about is with as far as distribution, there's a few interesting things happening. One is Fund My Comic is dabbling and starting. They haven't done it yet, but they're starting to get their ducks in a row to maybe do a little diamond distribution kind of thing. And they mentioned they want their comic issues to be 32-page floppies. Have you talked to them at all yet?
Yeah, I've seen the same things you have, like I haven't gotten the full spiel on it, but like I said, you have to be thinking ahead because this isn't like a 1 year thing. This is a 10 year thing. You
Yeah,
have to
that's a good
think like
point.
5, 10 years ahead. And like look at how much Fun My Comic has grown in like half a year,
Yeah,
like
actually, one thing, yeah, that's really nice about From My Comic is the if you click explore, you can see all the books, and and it's just so many, and they all look great, and nothing's shadow banned, and
yeah,
nothing's getting banned, and yeah, people know that. Like to me, this is kind of it's the feeling that the actual discovery and just looking around, scrolling the library. You can't do that on Indiegogo because everything's shadow banned. Can't do it on Kickstarter
yeah.
because stuff's banned. Like
Mhm.
that alone is like that is fun, and that will have it grow. But yeah, the idea of maybe because Diamond, they are sort of have a monopoly, but also it's like the whole industry is dying, so Diamond would die too. So Diamond knows that they can't gouge prices at the moment right now. So that's kind of I haven't even looked into it close enough, but it sounds like what I've heard at least is that despite being a monopoly, they actually are pretty affordable right now because just the industry's in such shoddy shape. And I wonder, have you heard the Cryptidnals? I think are they 656? I get mixed up with
Yeah,
which.
yeah. Six
Yeah,
five six comics. Yeah.
they're doing diamond distribution for Cryptidnals. Have you followed that at all?
Yeah, like I'm friends with all those guys. I actually ordered Cryptidals from Midtown Comics, and anybody who's like old, like it says old, but it's basically the last 20 years. It's like a big, online retail. Midtown Comics is the one of the best shops. So for them to get their comics there, that's a big deal. That's something that's not really talked about enough. Like that's
Yeah,
as legit as it comes. Everybody who looks for comics checks out Midtown Comics at one point.
yeah,
So
that's
to get
awesome.
get on there with everything else that's mainstream, and right there you can search up Cryptidnos on their site and order a copy. That's huge, man. So yeah, more power to them.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty exciting, and I'd be curious. Yeah, I want to talk to them more on like how it's going for them, and if they're getting like those sales numbers getting up because it does put you more like I. It kind of sounds a little bit like just even kind of because the industry's uh, on its last legs in some ways. It's like even with diamond distribution, you don't necessarily make a profit. I know Peter Samedi, he actually quit doing it,
Mhm.
but we all can kind of relate to like we kind of want that dream of seeing your book in the store and even
Mhm.
hitting like that distribution level of like if it's the goal is now 100,000 instead of 1,000 with crowdfunding. That is kind of interesting, and that can one thing could kind of help the other. I know
Yeah.
actually Adam Lawson does that a little bit, and he's worked sometimes with Massive Publishing, but they're also working with frickin' Sean Gordon Murphy for like his Zorro thing. And they're doing it where they crowdfund first, but then they break it into floppies and do diamond distribution. And Adam did that for his comic that had it. It was a shoot. The guy who plays Blade, what's his name? I'm brain farting
Yeah,
right
Wesley
now.
Snipes.
Yeah, he had the Wesley Snipes comic, and
Yeah.
he said they hit. I think he might have said they hit 100,000 sales, but they
Oh,
had
wow.
like 20 whatever 20 alt covers, which helped with that a little bit. But that works. And I mean, that's like part of it is a reality of the industry is there's collectors even still when it's on its last legs, you still have
Yeah.
collectors. That's something Sean Gordon Murphy was doing too. It's like a lot of the offers he was offering on his crowdfund are like the 11 by 17 art book, like a version that's huge with the original art. I'm like, that's honestly pretty cool, but it costs $200. Like not everyone's going to get that. And then just the flip side of that, this is just kind of interesting, is so Sean Gordon Murphy, he kind of squeaked past 300,000, which is honestly great, but maybe 3,000 sales, and that's might be more. It's more than one book per sale, so I don't know if it's like he might have sold 10,000 books even total, um, but yeah, so those are like some numbers he got. But just compare that to Eric July, who just launched Alpha Core. Alpha Core is past 800,000 now, probably past a million soon. I'm like, that's kind of interesting where Eric July and ISOM and Ripaverse, that it's like the best of the mainstream is getting lapped 3x, doing
Hmm.
so much better than the best the mainstream can possibly offer. It's a weird space we're in right now with the industry for sure. I don't know. Like some of it will make me frustrated because I'm like, but it is this just to bring you and me into this too. It's like it's what I do agree with what you're saying. I kind of like the idea that you're putting yourself in a position where it's a little bit more on the Brian Polito side of the spectrum, where he's even further than us, obviously, but we're getting more and more established, getting where you have the backlog, getting with you have the tried and true arcs that are fully done, full stories, fully completed, that kind of stuff. Then people can look into that and be like, oh yeah, this is the next thing to kind of become content for a streaming service or whatever. Uh, the next thing to kind of go mainstream, the next thing to have spin-offs and selling the IP rights and get on lunch boxes or whatever. Maybe that should be the goal instead of getting a Netflix deal. The goal should be to get on a lunchbox. That's like,
Hey man, there's nothing beats an animated series. You know,
yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah.
beats that. So
Yeah, and well, it's weird with technology too. Like we're almost in a place where you can kind of have indie animation, but kind
mhm.
of not quite because it takes forever still. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Like if you got five friends together, like could you make a feature film? Yes, but it might take like 10 years. That's too long. Like if you could
Yeah,
do it in even 5 years, that's crazy life changing decision. But that's like shit. That's like sort of realistic. um, and that's kind of a possibility as technology gets more and more like efficient of the workflow for animation. So that's another thing that as that develops, doors are kind of opening. It's all swirling. People are looking around, seeing what's next. Um, but yeah, we're stuck in the middle of it, and yeah. But I guess so. I think to bring it full circle to what I was saying is the interesting situation is that the freaking mainstream is like still they're so embarrassing themselves, and it can kind of almost put a chip on my shoulder because I'm like, it should be obvious that our shit is better and more dope. Like even Sean Gordon Murphy, who's a great artist, one of the best artists in the world, his Zorro book just sounds like an absolute embarrassment, and that's like kind of frustrating. Like I don't know, he's putting out shit. He's putting out like worthless shit. And so and that's like the best they can do. Like they should be buying our books and reading our books. Like whoever these people that if they're courting like yeah, the lunchbox people to get on lunchboxes, they're gonna put some lesbian Zorro on a lunchbox, whatever. I'm like, let's get over that era. That whole era needs to end. And
yeah.
so yeah, end of rant there. We got 8 people watching. It's just one-on-one promo. We're not even going to let it go too long because I want people to check this on the rewatch. But yeah, this whole point of this stream is to just make people aware of Bloodbone from Edwin Ace, and it looks amazing. 16-page issue 0. Get on the ground floor. Um, this is the second chance offering, but yeah, look, getting close to that $1,000 goal. Looking to hit that a few months to go. But there's PDF, there's hard copy, definitely collectible, definitely like a cool thing. Keep an eye out too, basically for this next year. The full first issue
Yeah.
sounds awesome
Me,
with Joe
me and
Ball.
Joe Ball from Def got some lot of
Yeah,
cool stuff cooking. So like I said, once the new year comes, we'll start kind of talking more about that. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Like I said, I have a lot of stories. Me and Joe, we're always DMing each other. We're always in a hangout talking ideas, different things. So we're both excited about it. He's just finishing up Def right now. That's some 300-page monster. There's like
I
three
know.
versions of it. It's madness. But
Yeah,
don't worry, he's slaving away every night I'm talking to him. He's like, yeah, just we're working on the dialogue. We're doing this, we're doing that. So Joe's working on it. It'll get to you.
yeah, that's exciting. That's one that, like, it's just everyone's looking forward for that to get released. That's a super cool one. Yeah, and then you got Ace 3 next year at some point.
Yeah.
And what about the Raid of the White Leopard? Is that a one off or is that eventually a series or
No, that's gonna be a 3-issue comic, basically. Book 1, book 2, and book 3, basically, uh, start, the middle, and then the end. This is very like condensed. Right now, I'm going over the book 2 script, kind of just tightening that up and kind of figuring out where I'm gonna slot that. Because I don't to get too ahead. I already have 2 projects. I don't want to add like a third one, but it'll come, especially depending how these campaigns do. Once I have more time, I'll kind of start tightening that up. I already know where the story's going. It's just about kind of making it as good as it needs to be. So going page by
Cool.
page and breaking it down, that whole process.
Who's the artist on that one?
Avery Butterworth.
Okay, sweet. I know that name, but I can't picture the art.
Yeah,
But
he worked on some stuff with Phil Diaz for Lost Pages. He's a super
oh,
talented
sweet.
guy. Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
incredible artist, and yeah, so like I said, hopefully, I'll get him working on at least some characters of some other stuff in the next couple of months.
How's the process of you meeting writers to work with? Have you had any bumps in the road, or has it gone kind of smooth through Comicsgate? Or
No, like I've never had any issues with any artist I've ever worked with. Like a lot of the guys that I decide to do books with, it's more about kind of getting, one of the big things to me, I like my artists to have the same excitement that I have. Like one of the things when I pitched the Ace to Canales, he basically told me, "Oh, you had me at a talking shark." Talking alien shark, so that was like so Canales from the jump was super down to do this kind of take a chance on like a first time writer and do this kind of weird alien armored book, and so we had a lot of fun with that. He's worked on volume 2, he's doing volume 3. I think it's the best work he's ever done in volume 3. When people see it, they're gonna be like blown away. Canales is he's fit this whole universe of the Ace. And then, like I said, Donald, I've worked with him multiple times. We have the same kind of mindset. Me and Joe Ball are friends. We've known each other for years. Like, again, we're big like wrestling fans. We're big like MMA fans. We kind of get on the same wavelength of Bloodbone. Avery, like, he just has like a very unique style. And, he basically, he sent me like some character designs of the Viking characters. And I just like, well, you literally just took everything that's in my head and you put it on this page. Like if I was an artist, that's what I would draw. Like we just got on this wavelength for Raid, and it was just like, all right, I guess we're doing this book. And he's been incredible to work with too. So all these guys have been just great, man. I plan on working with them for a long time.
yeah, nice. That's awesome. That's awesome when it goes like that beautifully and making those connections. And yeah, kind of like almost like being friends first. Comicsgate kind of allows that.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been fun the way it's let people team up and combine. And Canales, he's prolific AF. He's easily the most prolific artist in Comicsgate. If you list the people he's worked with and the books he's done, it's like so many fun ones and so many connecting of great, like kind of like classics. And like some early classics, including from Richard Meyer, but like, yeah, there should be eventually like, it would be kind of fun to do like the Canales collection, and it'd have to be through multiple collectors or through creators. But yeah, like, I don't know, like Ace, and then what the one for Chimera, he did some books.
Yeah, SOS.
Yeah, SOS, and then your boys Zach, and
they
then
did Ironside too.
Yeah, and then the Alien one with Michael Derrick, right? What's that one called? Do you remember?
Abductables.
Yeah, the Abductables. Yeah, yeah. I would almost. Michael Derrick kind of left crowdfunding, and I don't know if he's like around. Yeah, if we're able to contact him, but I would almost email all those people and be like, "Hey, can we do like the Canales collection and like get all 4 books?"
Just put out like a black and white art book. You get to see his line work.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome one in the chat says, "What up, Nards? He's bringing it back. It's not dead yet." Calling my fans the Nards. I'm into it. The Nard Nuge. We're giving it. We will update it if it doesn't. So if it doesn't go up, it means people are still thinking about it. Oh, still just thinking about it. It also means an angel died somewhere in the world, and a puppy also was drowned. But we'll let that guilt build on the people slowly,
There
and
we go.
it will break them down sooner or later. But the thing, it is good people getting out there, the awareness, because a lot of times it's like a marketing rule I heard about McDonald's. They say like you don't make that call until you like see it 3 times. Sometimes it's like
Mhm.
you're like you feel like a cheeseburger, and you're like driving by and it's on the radio, and then like you see a sign, and then you were watching something on your phone and it pops up, and you're like, shit, I will get a burger. But selling comics is a little bit like that too. So it's good to just get out there on the streams,
Yeah.
let everyone know about the book. Yeah, Edwin's very prolific yourself, multiple books, multiple fulfilled. This is a great collectible one, issue 0 to get in on the ground floor. And yeah, so everyone just definitely take a look, check it out. Check out the trailer. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to play it. My internet is too slow. But yeah, and then with that, Edwin, keep me abreast of all your stuff, and we'll stream again pretty soon here. Maybe we'll keep promoting. Maybe to close this out, even hit me up. But and then we'll kind of wrap the stream up here, I think. But hang out just for a second, Edwin. We'll say hi behind the scenes too.
Yeah. No worries.
But yeah, everyone, thanks for being here. Right now, 8 people watching. And yeah, everyone catches the stream after it's over too. We're keeping it short. So you'll be able to sneak it into your schedule. And with that, I'll end. Same with ending. I'm like, oh, I need an ending clip, but I don't